Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet in my bum. Ground control.
Stop it.
Kindly shush. Ground. Welcome to a very special episode, and this only the second episode of Black Mass. With me, Theodore Bonaparte. Joining me today is Mrs. Mojo.
Heidi ho.
And it is a very special day today because it is, or should be, David Bowie's 70th birthday and the year anniversary of the release of his last album, Blackstar, and in 2 days' time on Tuesday it'll be the year anniversary of his solemn demise.
Gosh. Just all happened at the same time, did it?
Yes, and we'll find out why later on. Now, we're going to explore Blackstar, but in order to do that, you have to understand some of the occult origins of David Bowie. So we're going to go way back when, jump in the time machine and go back to the swinging 60s. Now, we all know David Bowie. Even if we don't like David Bowie, we know David Bowie in some form or another.
Who doesn't like
There
David
are
Bowie?
people who do not like David Bowie.
Even people who don't
There
know who
are
David Bowie
people
are
who
pretend they like him.
despise David Bowie.
Like who?
Jimmy Page,
Who's that?
the guitarist of Led Zeppelin,
Why does
hates
he hate
David
him?
Bowie
Why?
because they have an occult battle. We'll get into this.
Okay.
You're going to hear the word occult and you're not going to know what it means. And to be honest, neither do I still today after 400 plus hours of podcasts on the occult.
Okay.
So, he's mostly known, we are recording, aren't we? He's mostly known for his incarnations. And there are, in fact, by your puzzled look, it tells me you want to know what an incarnation is.
Yeah, but I'm just an idiot. So.
Feel free to chirp up if you don't get anything, because there is going to be a lot of things that even I don't understand that I will attempt to explain. The incarnations of David Bowie are his personas throughout the years that he's inhabited. I have gone through the years of David Bowie, and there appears to be 13 main ones.
13?
13.
I thought there was like 4.
No. It begins.
Oh, God.
Shall I go through all 13? Let's go through all 13. So we have a scale. Now, we have the very first incarnation of David Bowie, Major Tom. A very important figure in David Bowie's history, and it ran all the way through to Blackstar, as we will discuss later on. Major Tom, of course, the lost spaceman who went up into space and didn't come back. And the song Space Oddity was released perfectly timed 9 days before the moon landing. So it became the sort of theme tune of space travel, which is pretty lucky. Which you will find out happens all the time with David Bowie, which makes him an actual magician.
Or a psychic.
Magician. Occultist. There's that word again. That's number 1. I'll zoom through the other ones.
Okay.
Number 2, the man who sold the world. It also goes through his album Hunky Dory, which came out after that, where he's starting to dabble in the occultings, into weird texts and magic and things like that. Then, the most important of all, can you guess what's next?
No.
It begins with the final letter in the alphabet.
Oh, I wish people could see your face.
It begins with the final letter of the alphabet.
Ziggy?
Yes, Ziggy Stardust comes next, and he's the most famous of all David Bowie's incarnations. And then Ziggy came back later, slightly altered as Aladdin Sane. That's number 4. Then number 5, you have The Thin White Duke, which is where the album Station to Station was released. And this is David Bowie's highest or lowest point of his life, as you will find later on. And then there is The Man Who Fell to Earth, when he played an alien. He did a lot of hard graft for that character. Then there's Period, which is his Ashes to Ashes, weird mime-looking kind of. Feel free to destroy his songs as we go through. And then there is Jareth, the Goblin King.
Ah, in his lovely, sexy, tight leggings.
Afterwards, there's the regular dude with the regular dude band, when he just became Bowie and his Bowie band.
Bowie band.
And then there's the Outsider, when he started to experiment with electronic music. And then the Elder Statesman, which is Bowie in a suit doing his final tour. And then there's Meta Bowie, when he came back 10 years later after suffering a heart attack whilst on tour, which is the Next Day album. And then finally Blackstar.
I haven't heard of half of those, especially the later ones.
Because Bowie was not properly Bowie. And for the occult background of Bowie, we're going to have to go through. It starts Major Tom and finishes at the Thin White Duke. So it's the first 5, and then it comes back at Blackstar at the end.
They're the ones I know.
So, beginning with the album Hunky Dory.
Hunky Dory.
Which I believe is his second album. The song Oh You Pretty Things in 1971.
Oh, you pretty things.
Oh, you pretty things. This is where it starts to get heavy.
Oh, God.
I will read you the lyrics. I think about a world to come where the books are founded by the golden ones. Let me make it plain. You got to make your way. Let me make it plain. Gotta make way for the Homo superior. Look at your children, see their faces in golden rays. Don't kid yourself, they belong to you. They're the start of a coming race. Homo sapiens have outgrown their use. All the strangers came today, and it looks as though they're here to stay. The song, Oh You Pretty Things, Oh You Pretty Things, is based on The Coming Race by Edward Bulwer Lytton in 1871, about a race of superhuman angel-like beings called the Vrilya, who fled the great flood of Noah and became trapped underground. Whilst adapting to the harsh conditions, the Vrilya became adept at manipulating the power of Vril, Earth's natural and hidden energy, which allowed them such abilities as telepathy, weather manipulation, and energy source. And it's rumoured that George Lucas stole the idea of the coming race for the Force in Star Wars. The Force is actually Vril, which makes George Lucas a Nazi.
Can I just choose to not believe any of this?
No. This is the Black Mass podcast, and everything we say is true.
I'm not saying it's not true. I believe that I think it's true, but I want to choose not to believe it.
You may choose what you like.
I just want it to be a nice, chirpy song.
Oh, the song itself?
Yeah.
This is exactly what the song is about. According to the book, Vril can be changed into the mightiest agency over all types of matter, both animate and inanimate. It can destroy like lightning or replenish life, heal or cure. It's used to rend ways through solid matter. Its light is said to be steadier, softer, and healthier than that from any flammable material. It can also be used as a power source for animating mechanisms. Vril can be harnessed by use of the Vril Star for mental concentration. Now, in the wake of David Bowie's... Oh, hang on.
Can I ask, when he wrote this song, was he in his drug years?
He was always in his drug years. He was always doing cocaine, but it got worse and worse all the way up to station to station.
Okay.
Yes, so at the time of release, the book was actually taken as to be possibly factual, as was other historic fiction books like The Spear of Destiny, which was the spear that pierced Jesus Christ's side, that Hitler stole and tried to harness its power.
Fact.
Anyway, backtracking, at the time of release, the book was taken as possibly factual, and it is rumoured that a secret Vril society existed in pre-Nazi Berlin, and that Hitler was attempting to negotiate with the Vril Jahr during World War II in order to use Vril energy in order to power flying disc technology. And the Vril are the Draconians, which are the reptilians. So whenever you hear anything about conspiracy theorists saying that Obama and the Queen are reptilians, it's because they came from underground, they bred with humans, and now there are reptilian-human hybrids living in the highest ranks of our society. Now, with the flying disc technology that the Nazis were working on, when America and Russia destroyed the Nazis, they kidnapped... This is true. They kidnapped Nazi scientists and it was called Operation Paperclip. They kidnapped Nazi scientists and used the technology they were working on, which is why America and Russia were both involved in the space race at the same time, because they were using Nazi scientists who had the intelligence and knowledge from the people underground who used real energy in order to fly things that they couldn't normally fly.
Oh, God.
Now, back to Bowie.
Yes, back to Bowie.
Through his work, Bowie turned himself into a musical, an ascended master, a Gnostic Christ-like figure who achieved a high level of illumination and who sought to communicate a cryptic message to humanity. Basically, it seems like a lot of his lyrics don't make sense, but they're all hidden with secret messages that have made him the legend, the myth, the god that he is today.
Do you think David Bowie is a god?
Yes. He does. Or he did. Before he died. While many of Bowie's eccentricities could be attributed to drugs and rock and roll, one cannot paint a complete picture of the artist without mentioning his most enduring obsession, Western occultism, which is basically modern magic. And not card tricks, I'm talking about real fucking magic, like the Force and the Vril Society.
But I would love to see David Bowie in a room with Penn and Teller.
It's not that kind of magic, it's real it's magic.
Ooh.
It's got a K on the
Magic.
end. Yes. David Bowie, born as David Robert Jones in 1947, is seen by some as a sort of Renaissance man, quote-unquote, whose preferred universality, quote-unquote, is an attempt to show the apex of evolution by reassembling the fragmentary pieces of our society. Thus, he resembles many occultists. However, unlike most occultists, basically you can swap the word occultist for wacko or nut job.
Okay, can we do that then?
Or creepazoid.
Oh, I like creepazoid. Let's do that from now on.
I'm going to continue to use the word occultists, but you can replace it in your head as creepazoid. However, unlike most occultists, Bowie has considerable wealth, critical acclaim, penetrating intelligence, and enduring good looks. I'm not sure about the enduring good looks because early Bowie creeps me the hell out.
But it doesn't matter how ugly he looks, he's still sexy.
He looked like an alien.
He did.
He embodied a bloody alien.
But he's still very, very sexy.
Okay.
It's very strange.
He seems set to go on to even greater heights and achievements. In fact, there are people who are convinced that his success is not without some kind of otherworldly assistance.
Bum, bum.
Nevertheless, it cannot be ignored that Bowie has constructed his public persona from the various parts of the puzzle that are the roots of modern occultism. He was summoning up some of these pieces as early as age 16. Basically, that means he was a fucking nerd, and he read lots and lots of weird books.
Wait, does that mean that you're going to turn into Bowie?
Possibly. Without the stardom.
And the sexiness.
Yes. Throughout his career, Bowie often turned himself into a mere vessel as he lent his body to various personas who spoke through him. Ziggy Stardust, Major Tom, Jared.
That one sounds really creepy.
Often communicating messages of deep occult significance to his audience, without them knowing. And Bowie's final album, Blackstar, is no exception. In fact, it's meticulously planned final chapter to the Book of Bowie, one that confirms the true meaning of his work and the occult inspiration behind it. Therefore, in order to understand Blackstar, one must understand some of his iconic imagery. We've already covered Oh You Pretty Things. Have you heard the song Quicksand?
How does it go?
I couldn't tell you. I'm closer to the golden dawn, immersed in Crowley's uniform. I'm not a prophet or a stone-aged man, just a mortal with potential of I'm murdering this.
It doesn't ring bells. Which album's it?
I'm pretty sure it's on Hunky Dory too.
Yeah, no, I probably
It's
don't
about
heard it.
his struggle with the occult. The lyrics are, I'm closer to the golden dawn, immersed in Crowley's uniform. I'm not a prophet or a Stone Age man, just a mortal with potential of a Superman. The song Quicksand is basically about how he's struggling to understand magic and occultism, because it's very difficult to get into, as one can imagine. In these 4 lines, Bowie reveals a source of his esoteric worldview. That means strange, rare, weird. The secret society, Golden Dawn. The Golden Dawn was a magical secret society, a crowning glory of the occult revival, which flourished at the end of the 19th century and taught a unique blend of Jewish mysticism called the Kabbalah, also found in Bowie's symbolism, astral travel, magic, yoga, also practiced by Bowie, and how to communicate with angels and demons. For this latter communion, it was first necessary to empty the mind to make room for the unknown to enter, something that bears a strong resemblance to Bowie's cut-up method of writing lyrics. In other words, when his lyrics don't make sense, it's because they're feeding into his blank mind.
Are you sure you're not just feeding too much into this?
Everything is true. When Bowie states that he is immersed in Crowley's uniform, he is referring to Aleister Crowley, the 20th century British occultist who was a member of the Golden Dawn and a founder of the OTO, or Ordo Templi Orientis. He is mostly known for his work in the realms of sex magic, black magic, and his philosophy,
Wait.
the Thelema.
What is sex magic?
Just so you know, in a couple of episodes' time, we will be covering Aleister Crowley, and you'll find out
I'm quite excited
what
about
sex
that.
magic is. It's a lot of eating things that are very disgusting.
Am I invited to that one?
Yes, you're invited.
Yay!
I need somebody to go through Aleister Crowley with me, otherwise I might just lose my mind.
Okay.
The Ordo Templi Orientis, which was, and still is, deeply involved with sex magic. The public perception of both the Golden Dawn and the Ordo Templi Orientis are pseudo-Masonic organizations where the aspirant or member goes through stages of ceremonial initiations wearing semi-Egyptian costumes, similar to the one that Bowie wore for a photo session with Brian Ward in 1971. Basically, you know secret societies and the weird... Don't look at me like that. You know secret societies, they all meet up in mansions and they drink blood and all of the weird rituals.
Cloaks.
The weird rituals are they all bum each other. That's literally all it is.
No wonder Bowie was part of it.
In 1976, Bowie stated, "My overriding interest was in Kabbalah and Crowleyism, that whole dark and rather fearsome netherworld of the wrong side of the brain." And then in 1983, Bowie added, I had this more than passing interest in Egyptology, mysticism, and the Kabbalah. At the time it seemed transparently obvious what the answer to life was. My whole life would be transformed into this bizarre nihilistic fantasy world of impending doom, mythological characters, and imminent totalitarianism, which is basically the story of Ziggy Stardust.
Okay, I'm with you. Just about.
Considering the importance of occultism in Bowie's life, the most iconic personas of his career take on an added level of significance, a level that is reinforced in Blackstar. See, we're slowly building up to Blackstar. You have to start at the beginning to get to Blackstar.
Oh, God.
In 1969, Bowie released Space Odyssey, a single that was cleverly released only 9 days before the moon landing of Apollo 2, making it the unofficial theme of this historic event. The song introduced Major Tom, an astronaut who was launched into space and whose ultimate fate remained uncertain. On an esoteric, weird, unknown, small level, detailed level, Major Tom represents the ascension of mortals towards divinity, an interpretation that appears to be confirmed in the video for Blackstar, where you see a skeleton in a spacesuit adorned in jewels just like the celebrated skeletons of Eastern Europe. Do you follow?
Just about.
You remember seeing Major Tom in the Blackstar video? Have you seen Blackstar?
I haven't watched it.
Oh, God. For the listener.
I've listened to the album.
For the listener, if you haven't seen... If you don't even know Bowie, just watch the videos for Blackstar and Lazarus. That's all you need to do. You're not going to understand any of this.
Okay. You didn't tell me to do homework before I came on this show.
I thought you'd seen Blackstar and Lazarus.
Oh no, we just listened to the album and then he died and then we stopped listening to it for a little while.
Both of the videos as they came out. Anyway. In 1972, Bowie introduces a new alter ego who instead descends to Earth from the heavens. The other way round.
Oh!
Ziggy Stardust. The two forms of Ziggy Stardust. Ziggy and Aladdin Sane. For his fifth album, Bowie introduced his alter ego Ziggy Stardust, an androgynous alien rock star who was sent by the Infinites, quote-unquote, to announce the coming of the Starmen to Earth.
Is that why he paints, like, an eye on his head?
Yes, it's the...
Is he meant to be like an alien?
Hold on. It's the pineal gland. Your third eye.
Oh.
Because the rumour has it that the front of your brain is an antenna, and all of our brains are connected, and that's why we perceive aliens and ghosts and things like that, because our antenna picks up on them. That's where the pineal gland and the third eye comes from. That's where telepathy and everything in the brain is situated, right at the front, above your two eyes. Gland. None of us do, because when the aliens bred with us, with their full telepathy, they also bred with Jews. And Jews are responsible for watering down the alien-human hybrids, and that's why so many of them had to die in Nazi Germany.
You have to put a disclaimer on this to say that's just what's written down. No,
that is why the Germans murdered the Jews, because they were responsible for us white people losing our kinetic powers.
The Jewish people are white.
They're still a race. Jewish people are a separate race, apparently.
Oh my God.
Can I get back to Bowie and away from the Nazis?
Dangerous territory.
Is it obvious at this point to say that David Bowie was dangerously obsessed with the Nazis?
Yeah.
And he got in a lot of trouble for being obsessed with the Nazis.
Did he?
He said that Hitler was the world's first greatest rock star because of his performance in front of a crowd of people. How he could harness a crowd of people just like Ziggy Stardust.
God. Naughty Bowie.
So, this is the explanation for the album Ziggy Stardust. In Bowie's visionary performance, civilization was going to collapse and the Infinites would arrive, hence 5 years. Ziggy Stardust was to announce the coming of these starmen bringing hope. Ziggy is their prophet, the messiah who takes himself to incredible spiritual heights and is kept alive by the devotion of his disciples. When the starmen finally arrive, they take bits and pieces of Ziggy so they can manifest themselves as real physical human beings, because they're multidimensional beings that us human beings cannot perceive. Eventually they tear him to pieces on stage during the performance of the song Rock and Roll Suicide. At the moment of Ziggy's death, the Starmen take on his essence and become visible. With Ziggy Stardust, Bowie embodied the archetype of the dying god, a saviour sent from above who ends up sacrificing his life. Not just a pretty collection of songs now, is it?
It's all well and good, but I still just picture him in extras.
There's a starman waiting in the sky.
Making up a horrible song about Ricky Gervais. Where'd the aliens come into that?
Ricky Gervais is a tall white. Actually, no, Stephen Merchant is a tall white.
Is that like Slender Man or something?
No, a tall white.
Oh god, here
we go. The tall whites are the bosses of the Greys. Do you understand what a Grey is?
Yeah.
The alien that everybody sees, the Grey with the big black eyes that they stand about 4 foot tall. Greys are organic robots created by the tall whites to come to Earth to do experiments. They cannot feel or think for themselves. They are basically if robots could breathe and had organic matter.
Okay.
And it's the tall whites behind it all. They come from the sky.
What does that
and
mean?
The reptiles
what
come from
the sky mean? Like
what? We're getting away from Bowie. This is about Blackstar.
Get to Blackstar then.
Ziggy Stardust also embodies the opposition of the spiritual and material worlds. While he represents a high level of spiritual illumination, he is also a bisexual, promiscuous rock star hell-bent on heavy drug use.
I thought you were going to say hell-bent on having cock.
Contrarily to Major Tom, who ascended from Earth to the skies, like I just said, the other way around. Ziggy Stardust descends from the heavens. He's a higher being who takes the form of a human in order to communicate a message, not unlike Jesus Christ, who was also a tall white. Now, station to station. This is the thin white Duke, yes? You remember the... You remember the persona of the Thin White Duke?
I do.
This is where you can put some input
Okay.
in. Describe the Thin White Duke for the audiences listening at
He
home.
was thin and he was white.
Was he a duke? No, he wasn't a duke. It was just the name.
He was just Bowie with like very blonde hair, very white skin, and in a suit.
The reason he was called the Thin White Duke is because for 2 years previous, his diet consisted of nothing more than cigarettes, cocaine, red peppers, and milk. Which is why he's thin, transparent, and he looks like he's about to die, because he is about to die.
Well, turns out not so much.
He was doing so much cocaine that he was staying awake for about 8 days at a time.
Bloody hell.
And he suffered from what was called cocaine psychosis, which is an actual medical condition. He was hallucinating 24 hours a day. He thought that some black witches, black as in African witches, were conspiring to steal his semen to create a baby Bowie to sacrifice in order for them to get higher magical status. He saw the devil arise from his swimming pool in Los Angeles and had a witchy woman come from New York.
A witchy woman?
To do a seance at the swimming pool where Angie Bowie, his wife, who remains sober, says that the pool bubbled in a way she'd never seen before. Okay, not like a jacuzzi. And it left a stain of a demon at the bottom of the pool. And all of the residents since haven't been able to paint over the stain because it comes through again.
That's weird.
And another thing that scared the living hell out of Bowie was he found out that the house he was living in previously to this one, where he saw the devil come out of the swimming pool, he found out he was living 3 doors down from the Sharon Tate house. And this was 1971. 3 years after Sharon Tate and all her friends were brutally murdered by the Manson family.
No wonder he's all
which
fucked
put him into a
up.
paranoid stupor.
Thing is, if he already believed all this stuff beforehand, of course cocaine's going to do some weird stuff to it.
This isn't funny. He actually believed this stuff. In 1976, Bowie released Station to Station, an album he claimed to barely remember recording, mainly due to heavy cocaine use. Heavy is an understatement. He even added that it was, to him, the work of an entirely different person. Bowie himself remembers almost nothing of the album's production, not even the studio, later admitting, "I know it was in LA because I've read it was." Despite the fact the album dealt with heavy occult symbolism, the song Station to Station itself referred to the travel through the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. And the lyrics are, "Here we are, one magical movement from Kether to Malkuth." Kether and Malkuth are 2 of the 10 elements of the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, the highest and lowest parts respectively. So the song Station to Station is, bear with me, the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. You've got the bottom, then the top, and you've got the stages in between. This is where you gain transcendence in magic and reach higher spiritual planes. Basically, what Bowie did was he took lots of cocaine and ate nothing but red peppers and milk in order to skip the middle ones, to go from Kether to Malkuth, to go from the bottom directly to the top.
You have me picturing like David Bowie frolicking up a tree, like do on cocaine.
So, and which you can't do that in occultism. Occultism is just
no, I'm sure you can't.
It's just as dangerous as it is enlightening, which proves because he almost died.
Oh gosh.
If you follow the path described by Bowie above, Kether to Malkuth describes the descent from Godhead to the physical realm. The theme of a descent from the heavens has always been at the core of Bowie's work. In 1997, Bowie expands on the magical meaning of the song and how no mainstream sources ever addressed it. The Station to Station track, this is Bowie, the Station to Station track itself is very much concerned with all the stations of the cross. All the references within the piece are to do with the Kabbalah. It's the nearest album to magic treatise that I've written. I've never read a review that's really sussed it. It's an extremely dark album. I wonder why.
But if he's saying all that stuff, and he knows all that stuff, but he says he doesn't remember writing it.
Well, he's heard the album.
But
he still has the lyric books.
Yeah.
Now, this is very important.
Okay.
On the cover of the album, Station to Station, we find Bowie drawing the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, wearing black clothing with diagonal white stripes.
Okay.
This is 1976. Several decades later, in 2015, Bowie is confronted with his own mortality. We're talking about dying of cancer. And he feels the need to offer his fans one final offering. Basically, what happened was, after Station to Station, he nearly dies. He gives up cocaine, moves to Berlin to do the Berlin trilogy, which is like Heroes. You know Heroes?
Yeah.
We could be heroes
I like
just
that one.
for a day.
I know you don't like those ones, but I like them.
And that's where the occult stops for David Bowie, and that's where his career stops
Where he
for me.
becomes a normal person.
He starts doing dancing in the street and
Dancing in the street.
and Rumpa-Pum-Pum and all that shit.
Hey, that is a great Christmas song.
So, from the moment he stops or after Station to Station, he records the album Low, which is his really dark down, I don't know where I'm going with my life, I've ruined everything album.
Yeah.
And then he moves to Berlin, does the Berlin trilogy, and then he starts to do normal Bowie things like China Girl, Let's Dance, all of that sort of stuff, where he still gets critical acclaim, but it's not Bowie. He doesn't have that
not fucked
occult
up,
route.
is what he's
he
doing.
just goes with it. He's still a great musician, but he hasn't got the levels of Ziggy and the occultism. And it's not until he got his terminal diagnosis that it all kicked back in again, and that's how Blackstar was created.
I see.
That's why Blackstar is full of hidden messages, and all the other albums in the 80s and 90s are just sort of normal albums. A lot of it's mediocre.
I see. Got your back.
Yes, so several decades later, in 2015, Bowie is confronted with his own mortality and feels the need to offer his fans one final offering. Blackstar takes all the elements mentioned above. Blackstar takes all of the elements mentioned earlier and more to create one final enigmatic ritualistic drama.
Oh, gosh.
Now this is where we're into Blackstar officially. Consider the feral violence of the song "'Tis a Pity She Was a Whore" and "Sue" or "In a Season of Crime." Re-recorded versions of both sides of a 2014 single, Bowie is making complicated connections between 17th century playwright John Ford's drama and sordid battlefront morality in the First World War, between the lineage of stories of English corruption and the disillusionment at the origin of modernism, with a side in unsettling gender play and jarring anachronism. In the lyric, "Man, she punched me like a dude." This is how deep Bowie goes.
Can't that just be the lyric?
No, it's not. It's not.
It can be.
It could be if you were a dunce. Then, in my favourite song from the Blackstar album, one of my favourite Bowie songs to date.
It's the one I've listened to the most out of this album.
"Girl Loves Me." There is a mix of Clockwork Orange's Nadzat dialect with Polari, which is gay London slang from the era of the closet, which ends up as a kind of body double for contemporary rap and dancehall lingo. These are celebrations of cultural spaces and intellectual experiments Bowie always loved. So that's his homage to all his esoteric, strange, weird interests, if you understand where I'm going.
Yes, I'm with you. Just about.
So here's where it gets into Blackstar. Blackstar and Lazarus.
Okay.
Blackstar was released in the November before he died, and then Lazarus was released 2 days before he died, and they're videos full of clues and
Was it really only 2 days
secrets.
before he died?
Yes.
Bloody hell.
The Blackstar album was released today on his birthday, and then he died 2 days later. Right, it turns out that there is an Elvis Presley song called Blackstar. It's a cowboy-styled number from the forgotten early 1960s Hollywood Western called Flaming Star. Blackstar had been one of the movie's opening titles. Its opening lines are, "Every man has a black star over his shoulder, and when a man sees his black star, he knows his time has come." Bowie shared his birthday, and thus Blackstar's release date, with Elvis Presley, a fact that he admitted he imbued with mystic significance when he was younger. He was obsessed with Elvis. He wanted to be Elvis and considered himself his generation's Elvis because of how big he became.
I can't see him liking Elvis. That seems like a strange comparison to me.
Yes. The two never knew each other, but Bowie copped Elvis's moves on stage and copied his jumpsuits for his Ziggy Stardust and Aladdin Sane. His Aladdin Sane lightning bolt makeup also echoed Presley's well-known Taking Care of Business logo. Now, Blackstar. Released 2 days before his death, Blackstar is David Bowie's swan... This is the album, not the song. Blackstar is David Bowie's swan song, in which he wraps up the mythology he has cultivated for 5 decades. The video of the same name is a tapestry of dark images. At the center of it all, a human being becoming a god. The video begins with a dead astronaut on a remote planet. Is it Major Tom? Are we seeing his final resting place on a strange planet? A young girl opens the astronaut's helmet and finds an ornate skull. Inside the helmet is a jewel-encrusted skull, the perfect kind of artifact to be used during black magic. The jewel-encrusted skull represents the astronaut's ascension into godhood. The skull is then revered as some kind of artifact from the gods. A grand priestess holds the skull between 2 rows of women who cannot help but tremble in its presence. Sung in the matter of an incantation, the lyrics of the first verse allude to an occult ritual. In the villa of Ormond, stands a solitary candle. Ah, ah, in the center of it all, your eyes. In the video, the men and women are separated, which conveys the idea of two opposing energies, male and female. Both groups end up making us witness an indirect sex magic ritual.
Why haven't I seen this?
I can't believe you haven't seen... I thought you'd seen this so you could help me with this.
Sorry.
On one hand, the women assume the position.
Ooh.
On the other, 3 crucified scarecrows who appear to be animated by an unholy force move their hips in a suggestive manner.
Hey.
The combination of sex magic with the twisting of Christ's crucifixion gives the video a strong Crowleyan direction. The name of the album itself, Blackstar, refers to an important occult concept, the midnight sun. At midnight I saw the sun shining with a splendid light. The midnight sun was also part of the mystery of alchemy. It symbolized the spirit in a man shining through the darkness of his human organisms. It also referred to the spiritual sun in the solar system, which the mystic could see as well at midnight. At the high noon, the material earth being powerless to obstruct the rays of his divine orb. The mysterious lights which illuminated the temples of the Egyptian mysteries during the nocturnal hours were said by some to be reflections of the spiritual sun gathered by magical powers of the priests. The weird light seen 10 miles below the surface of the earth by I Am the Man in the remarkable Masonic allegory Etidorfa, which is Aphrodite spelled backward, may well refer to the mysterious midnight sun of all the ancient rites. Basically, there was a midnight sun that old Egyptians called Blackstar.
I was going to say, you lost me along that one.
That almost lost me for there for a moment. I'm not sure why I copied and pasted that from the website.
Because when you read it, you were probably like deep into the... I completely understand David Bowie's every thought.
No, it probably came off something else. Bearing in mind Bowie's impending death, the lyrics of the song take on a very personal meaning. Something happened on the day he died, spirit rose a meter and stepped aside. Somebody else took his place and bravely cried, I'm a black star, I'm a black star. Is Bowie referring to his own death? Is he referring to his spiritless body being taken over by a black star? This is yet another allusion to Bowie being taken over by a mysterious being who states, I am the great I am. I am that I am is the response God used in the Hebrew Bible when Moses asked for his name. Now, in the video, Bowie plays the role of 3 separate characters. The blind follower with buttons instead of eyes. This character represents the simple, ignorant man. You must have seen that with the blindfold on.
I haven't.
What is wrong with you?
Well, I don't remember it.
He's blindfolded and he's got buttons on his face, on the blindfold.
In Blackstar?
In Blackstar.
No, I've not seen any of the videos of Blackstar.
Oh dear, this is going downhill.
Well, you should have told me to watch them.
The preacher propagating the book of Blackstar with dumbfounded followers behind him, and the flamboyant trickster who appears to have taken over Bowie's aging body with eccentric mannerisms. The video therefore depicts the several layers associated with occult knowledge. There are those who are in direct contact with its true source, while the blind masses are fascinated by a bastardized version of it sold by charismatic figures. David Bowie indicates that he is simultaneously a blind simple man and an occult initiate, a black star. 3 different layers of Bowie there.
Okay, yeah.
It also deals with the fact that he got fame, he didn't want fame, but he wanted to be famous, all this sort of stuff.
So contradictory.
Yes.
The dude didn't know what he wanted.
So here are some of the user comments about Blackstar. He knew he was dying, and he must have asked God why, but got no response. I can't answer why, just go with me, which harkens to the lyrics. He also thumbed his nose at the great I am, or believed that after death he would become the great I am, Bowie becoming God.
Okay. Wait, so he really did think he was going to be a god?
He didn't know. There was part of him that thought, because of his fame and mysticism, that he would live on to be a god after death.
Right.
Part of him that was scared of dying. And part of him who...
Very narcissistic.
He was very... a lot of times, especially in the early 70s, you find out that Bowie was an insufferable arsehole.
Oh no, don't ruin it for me.
Oh, he's still fantastic. You can't have a career like this and not be an insufferable arsehole. Can you imagine walking into a high-class studio and going, I want it to be about the Vril Society and the
But he
coming
wouldn't
race.
have said that because no one knew, did they? Everyone just went, oh, he's
But
being
then they
weird,
go,
he's on
oh,
cocaine.
these songs are good, but the lyrics don't make any sense, David. The lyrics don't make any sense.
Yeah,
Now they do.
Sorry.
Okay, so that he believed that after death he would become the great I am. Everything would be taken from him. I'm going to take you home. I'm a Blackstar. Take your passport and shoes. I'm not a pop star. And your sedatives, boo. I am a Blackstar. Probably he was on sedatives and pain pills for his cancer. And then he says, you're a flash in the pan. I'm the great I am. And you're a flash in the pan means he's only here for a short time and his time is fleeting. Which it was.
Yes. See, I could have deciphered that stuff.
Now this is where it gets strange.
Oh, does it?
This is serious.
Oh, it's
One of the
serious.
lyrics is, on the day of execution, only women kneel and smile. This refers to the alleged assisted suicide that took place to relieve Bowie of his suffering and which was stage managed purposefully 2 days after his birthday and release of the album.
Oh.
Which is why it all happened so perfectly and concurrently. And
Like all his
everything
other
fell into
albums.
place like everything else he'd planned throughout his
So who
entire
did
life.
they say assisted suicide with him?
Nobody knows. They're not going to say who did that. Assisted suicide's illegal in America.
Not in is it Canada has legalized it? Something like that.
Yeah, but he died in New York.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
The song Girl Loves Me, going back to Girl Loves Me, you'll know this part. Later, the Girl Loves Me song later on in the album reinforces this with the lyric, where the fuck did Monday go? Bowie died on Monday morning.
Oh.
Oh
my gosh, do you think he killed himself?
I think so. Sister suicide isn't that big of a deal when you're on so many pain.
I mean, no, like...
If you could plan it,
yeah.
it's the perfect
He knew he
end.
was going to die anyway.
Because then you basically become a god. When you choose when to die, when to release the album, you release it on Elvis and your own birthday and die 2 days later. You couldn't make it up.
No. Well. Yeah.
The Solitary Candle, the Solitary Candle was a reference to Isis, not that one, the Egyptian goddess of rebirth, with the connection of the Villa of Ormen, Ormen meaning snake, a symbol of rebirth for their ability to shed their skin. So this song seems to intentionally be at least in part about rebirth or reincarnation. My sense is that Bowie is speaking metaphorically. When looking at the video, the female cult takes the gilded skull from the Starman away with them, leaving the body to rot away and pass into death. In other words, a black star. They worship the ideas and perform a ritual to bring these ideas back to life, who is born at the execution of the three scarecrows, a creature of life and chaos being born from stagnation and blindness. Out with the old, in with the new, as it were. AKA, much like Bowie was his own generation's version of Elvis, connection to Blackstar and the worshipping nature of female fans swooning and shaking over their idol, there will come out of death a new idol who will look nothing like the old version, may even be frighteningly close to the old order. The gyrating hips of the trickster, another connection to Elvis. So he might be saying he's giving way in death to the next Blackstar.
Yeah, but who on earth would that be? Like, seriously, in this generation? That's ridiculous.
Exactly. When's Justin Bieber's birthday?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Now, the Scarecrows hold another meaning. Another very esoteric meaning. It's a poem called The Hollow Men by T.S. Eliot.
Wait. What?
The Hollow Men by T.S. Eliot. There are 3 scarecrows in the video.
No. It's just because the Hollow Men, like, don't worry. It's in a book I read. Carry on.
Okay. Stuffed men filled with straw. Wind in the grass. More distant and solemn than a fading star. Their eyes are eyes I do not dare meet in dreams. Their eyes are not here. Their eyes are not here. In this valley of dying stars, sightless, we grope together and avoid speech. And there is also... What?
I don't get it.
It's just another little detail that links the scarecrows to Bowie because it's about dying stars and eyes that don't see.
Yes, right, okay.
On Major Tom's astronaut suit, there is also a little smiley face embroidered, which is a kiss blown to his son. It's a nod towards his film Moon. David Bowie's son made a film called Moon, and there's a wink towards his film in the music video.
Oh, that's sweet. How old is David Bowie's son?
30, 40, 50?
He's an age?
He had his son with Angie. And they were married from 1970 to 1980. So he could be in his 40s, I suppose.
Okay.
Now Lazarus, the final video that came out 2 days before his death. Bowie's final video bears the name of a significant Bible figure. Lazarus. In the New Testament, Lazarus died of an illness and was resurrected 4 days later by Jesus Christ. In the context of Bowie's terminal illness, the title Lazarus conveys the idea of immortality while playing with the constant idea of him being from another world. In the video, David Bowie. Oh. In the video, Bowie plays the role of the same characters in Blackstar. In the role of the blind follower, we see Bowie as the simple man, the regular human who is physically weak, lying on his deathbed and scared of things to come. And the lyrics are, look up here, I'm in heaven, I've got scars that can't be seen, I've got drama that can't be stolen, everybody knows me now. From a dresser in the corner of the room, possibly symbolizing a portal to another dimension, emerges another Bowie, the flamboyant, eternally young Bowie. This Bowie isn't dying. He even allows himself a few dance moves.
Let's dance.
The costume that this Bowie is wearing refers to a specific relic from his past. He wears the same outfit as seen as on the cover of Station to Station, in which he's drawing the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, the black with silver stripes.
Was it actually the exact same outfit, do you think?
I don't think it's the exact same outfit, but it's the same design.
I would love to picture Bowie going, I'm going to try and get into this outfit that I wore in the 70s.
As stated previous, according to Bowie, this 1976 album was written by an entirely different person. It is also the last time in which he was so dangerously engrossed with the occult before attempting to straighten out his life. So it's the connection between old occult Bowie and modern occult Bowie.
Yep.
With theatrical mannerisms, this Bowie writes feverishly as if animated by a higher force or cocaine. Is this the source of Bowie's inspiration throughout the years? Which is actually what he did. He sat in his LA home, a mound of cocaine on the table, feverishly writing in pads, lyrics and music and such.
For which album?
For when he lived in LA, so that would have been Station to Station.
Do you think he carried on with the drugs when he was doing Black Mass? I found out I've got cancer. Blackstar. Like, do you think?
No, I don't think so. He would have been on enough drugs. He didn't completely quit cocaine after Station to Station. Because you don't just stop something like that. At one point, we see the skull from Blackstar, implying that this Bowie possesses that secret occult knowledge. Although Bowie's mortal body succumbed to the physical illness, which is an ultimate fate of all humans, another part of him lives on, that otherworldly being who took over his body throughout his career. The embodiment, the Ziggy Stardust, the Major Tom. They still live. The characters that embodied him, the spirits that embodied him, live on. He's not saying that he's a god. He's saying that the beings he channeled through himself are the gods.
Oh, it's so weird.
The video ends with occult Bowie retreating back into the dresser and closing the door. That's all, folks.
Does he say that's all, folks?
No.
That's all, folks.
In Lazarus, Bowie therefore bids farewell to the physical world, but reminds us that a part of him lives on. The same part of him that ascended into space as Major Tom and descended to Earth as Ziggy Stardust. This Bowie travels from the physical to the spiritual world with the same ease as he travels from station to station through the Kabbalistic tree of life, which we found out is not ease. If you go from the top to the bottom, you nearly die. Now,
Trying to skip out the middle bit.
That's Blackstar pretty much explained as much as possible. And now we get on to the actual physical album.
No, my brain has already exploded.
These are fairly... Do you know what the album looks like?
I do, yes.
It's white with a black star with little fragments of black stars on the bottom. Yes? This is the album Easter eggs. The black star gatefold displays an image of stars when held up to the sun. Do you know what that is? In the vinyl, you pull the vinyl out and the star is actually cut out.
Oh,
and then you hold that up to the sun and stars shine through it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Reflecting light off one side of the vinyl at a certain angle creates what looks like a star. When you and another person from the internet said, when you reflect light off side one, you get a bird in flight. He talks about being as free as a bluebird in Lazarus. And on the other side, it's a spaceship.
How does he do that?
I have no idea. I don't have a copy of the album. We'll have to get one and have a look. The black star sleeve also gives off a bluish glow under black light. And it's the black star vinyl is all black. There's no white on it.
Wow.
This is a very interesting one. The font for the album's back cover is written in a font called Terminal, which appears from a design suite called Lazarus.
Oh god, it's all so weird. Right, before the album came out, how long had it been that he knew he had cancer before that?
He recorded the album in early 2015, so it was a good while before they finished the videos. And I think he'd known for maybe 6 months before that. I'm not sure.
Only 6 months.
I'm not sure.
Because it didn't have very long to plan all these, like, pretty incredible shiz.
That's what I mean by it. It all clicked back. Everything came rushing back with this. I'm terminal now. This is what I have to do.
He started doing cocaine again.
Maybe he did. I'm not sure. Right. So now imagine you're holding the vinyl and you open it up.
Right.
Like a book.
Yep.
On one side, on the left panel, is a whole sky of stars, which is what you shine you hold that up to the sun, and that shines through the front.
Yep.
While the right side has a picture of Bowie. When you stand the vinyl up, light reflects, and it reflects off the picture of Bowie, and it looks like Bowie is in the stars.
That's so cool. I want this album.
Right, now to the star fragments themselves, the little black pieces at the bottom.
Yep.
The star fragments at the bottom of the front cover can be interpreted to read Bowie. There is now a full Blackstar alphabet that can be found online. The stars, this is an interesting one. The stars can also be seen as a depiction of Bowie's famously asymmetrical eyes, especially when the stars are held up to a mirror. There's one large pupil and one smaller one.
Oh, what the... I don't like this.
Blackstar is the only Bowie album that doesn't have his face on the cover.
Or does it?
The Bowie portrait next to the I Can't Give Everything Away lyrics might be a reference to the cover of his 1977 masterpiece Low, which is his the one after Station to Station, where everything fell apart.
Okay.
In both images, Bowie is shown in profile, looking to the viewer's right, wearing dark coat with a high collar, and both images feature similar colour palettes. As several critics have noted, I Can't Give Everything Away has a harmonica part that is basically a direct rip from the Low instrumental, A New Career in a New Town, so it's likely that the visual similarities are also intentional, and it certainly wouldn't be the first time Bowie used his album art as a commentary on his own legacy. Now, this is where it gets interesting.
Oh, this after this hour, yeah.
The linear notes, which is where the lyrics are, contain an image of a pioneer plaque above the lyrics to Girl Loves Me. The Pioneer plaques are aluminium plates that were placed inside the Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11 unmanned spacecraft, which were inscribed with pictorial messages like cave paintings, meant for any extraterrestrials who might intercept them. Much like Blackstar, the plaques themselves are filled with arcane symbols which are supposed to convey some basic information about the Pioneer spacecrafts. They came from Earth, were built by humans, and we come in peace. Beyond Bowie's long-time fascination with outer space, aliens and the stars, reader Heather Zantish detected additional symbolism having to do with the dates that the plaques were first sent to space. Here we go. The first Pioneer plaque went into space on the Pioneer 10 mission in March 1972, when Bowie began the leg of his American Ziggy Stardust tour. In April of 73, Bowie stepped foot for the first time in Japan to begin that particular leg of the Ziggy Stardust tour, and Aladdin Sane was released about a week later. When David sings "That's the message that I've sent," I think he's referring to his savior Messiah, who foretold and lived through the social upheaval. As invested as Bowie was in American culture and politics, I think he knew what kind of world he was leaving and wanted one more chance to point out that his was a message of love, ultimately. The Pioneer plaque is a kind of important clue to other things. In 1995, when Bowie released Outside, Pioneer 10 began to move on course further into space into the direction of what we see here on Earth as the Taurus constellation. Bowie made references to the mythological Minotaur through Outside and other records, and the Minotaur is the half-bull, half-human son of the god Zeus in bull form. To my recollection, Bowie mentioned the bull returning, or to look to the bull, but I neither have a source for those quotes or nothing but my poor mind to remember. Outside also crucially links dates and areas in the artwork that were important to Bowie. And the last thing to do with the Pioneer plates. Reader Chris Gray interpreted the Pioneer plaque's design as literal instructions to the listener and found a 3D image effect. I have been studying with the odd design on the page where the lyrics for Girl Loves Me appear. The design appears to be an instruction. So it is. You have to get a torch, darken the room, and place the torch to the design with the design very close to the wall. You will need to slightly curve the design as per the instructions, and what you will get is a mesmerizing 3D image of the man and woman who appear to be standing on a star/planet/heaven. I have discovered that the whole pull-out booklet is littered with amazing multicolored 3D images when you apply a torch very close to them. It's utterly spellbinding.
Oh, I don't get it.
Although David Bowie's career spanned several decades, produced 28 albums, and exploited all kinds of enigmatic concepts, one aspect remained constant. He projected the aura of an otherworldly being, one that did not really belong on Earth.
He projected pictures from his album.
That sometimes appeared to be either spiritually illuminated or demonically possessed.
Demonically possessed.
His final album, Blackstar, is a direct continuation of the Bowie mythos, meticulously planned to turn his death into a work of art. The imagery of Blackstar ties together several iconic moments of Bowie's career into one final narrative, one that confirms the extreme importance of occultism in his work.
No. Just no.
Lazarus, Bowie's final parting gift, conveys one important message. Bowie was a vessel to something greater, something deeper, something darker, and something more profound than most ever realized. Claiming "I am the great I am," this being gave Bowie the inspiration to become an immortal icon and lead his fans to rally behind the declaration that Bowie is God. Was Bowie truly influenced by unseen occult forces, or was he simply a brilliant, smart entertainer with a penchant for dramatics? Bowie answered this question a long time ago in that song we mentioned at the beginning, Quicksand. I'm closer to the golden dawn, immersed in Crowley's uniform. I'm not a prophet or a Stone Age man, just a mortal with potential of a Superman.
I don't... My head hurts.
Discuss.
I don't like it. It's not fair.
Why is it not fair?
Because you smushy.
The man is 7,000 levels higher than we will ever be.
Oh, but he was. Can't he just be a really good musician?
It's what happens. It's what happens, children, when you read too many books.
This is why I never liked
cocaine.
doing poetry in high school, because they would make you decipher rubbish that, to me, just wasn't there.
But look what it can achieve.
How did he know? Well, he must have planned it for ages.
He must have. But there are also rumours, because the Blackstar album was supposed to be the soundtrack in part to his stage show Lazarus. His manager says that he didn't know that he was actually terminal until 3 months before Blackstar came out.
Bollocks.
Exactly. But that's what he says.
He knew. So new. Like years. Gotta be.
But when you see the meticulous planning of everything else in the seemingly completely random weirdness of Bowie, everything is planned and everything is there for a reason. Nothing is random with Bowie.
Well, or everything is. Which one?
Which Bowie?
Which one is it? Either nothing is planned with Bowie or absolutely everything is
absolutely everything.
I don't like it. You've ruined it.
So rest in peace up in space, Bowie. Bowie's in space. Bowie's in space. Could you hear me out there, man? That's pretty freaky, Bowie.
I hate you.
So you wait until we get into Aleister Crowley.
But that's alright, because like whatever you tell me about him, I'm gonna be like, dude, he was weird. But like, I felt like I knew Bowie and you've ruined it for me.
But now you know him on such a higher level.
Yeah, now I just think he's an idiot.
How can the release of all of this knowledge make you think that this man who has intelligence far beyond any of us is an idiot?
He thinks he's an alien, basically, or a god, or being possessed by different beings.
Either that, or he's a typical actor, just an empty vessel, waiting to be filled by Ziggy or the Thin White Duke.
He wanted to be filled by something, alright.
Hey, man.
Rest in peace, Bowie. We love you.
Good night.